Hello again, friends, and welcome to the Pipeline pregame show powered by eFuse. I'm your host, OG Pickle. Hey, hello. Welcome to another week in the eFuse Showmatch series. Tonight, we return back to the world of Overwatch as we get set for the Battle of Texas, a heated rivalry. And I say that with all sincerity, as you guys will see in the pregame show. It was, to say the least, they don't get along, and it's a very good setup for that. It's such as the University of Texas, Dallas, and the University of North Texas, two cities separated by only a 30-minute drive, are going to go head-to-head in this Overwatch series. These teams have a long-standing history in Overwatch as programs as a whole, often remaining neck and neck in their respective titles. These guys go back and forth. I mean, it's a pretty even series across the matchups as you look at the statistics. And not too long ago, last week, we witnessed the two top Collegiate League of Legends teams face off in Maryville versus Winthrop. And tonight, we're joined by none other than Necra and Lemon Kiwi again. I'm very excited. We had a great time last time. Great to have you both here tonight. Necra, what do we think about last week's matchup?
Last week's matchup was an absolute doozy, but before we get into it, just want to say thank you, Pickle, for having us back and for being on the show again because it's going to be a great
Woo!
time. But woo, last week was an incredible matchup between Maryville and Winthrop, and even though Maryville ended up taking the win 2-0. Woo, Winthrop definitely put up a fight there, so you can't count them out of the running for one of the best League of Legends teams in Collegiate League. But I think that's why they rose so high on the coaches poll. Winthrop is just one of those teams that really stands out to a lot of other teams and schools for their skill level and also being able to go toe to toe with a school that is as dominant as Maryville. That being said, though, Maryville has made quite a statement with their victory. Their roster has only been practicing for around 2 months, according to Clerky. So that's pretty dominant if they're able to win against a team like Winthrop like that. Despite even just having that 2 months of experience, pretty decisive game two. And then they closed out the series 2-0 against arguably one of the highest ranked Collegiate League of Legends teams.
Yeah, it was nuts to be a part of it last week. I mean, we were setting the stage, kind of hyping Winthrop. They were talking a big game, and they played well in game one, but then that game two, they just got wiped. And there's no, I'm being genuine in saying it. I think they would admit it themselves. But I think future matchups between Maryville and Winthrop are going to be down to the wire. They've seen each other. They didn't play often, but the tape's going to be telling. Hopefully, they'll be able to make adjustments. And it's good to see some new teams challenge Maryville at the top. I mean, they said it last week too. It's tough being all alone, and it's not beneficial to them as a university if they're at the top with no sincere competition to knock them off. So it's actually good to see a tough matchup or people to give them a challenge. But moving on to our matchup tonight, UTD versus UNT. It's a long-standing rivalry. I said that before, where both Overwatch teams have found themselves evenly matched in the past. Like I said, I believe in the coaches poll we'll review later, it was like 8 and 9 or 9 and 10. It's very, very close. You could cut a knife between these guys. It's that close. But I'm excited to get over to Lemon Kiwi. We saw her a couple weeks ago together. I'm excited to have you back. What can we expect going into tonight's matchup?
Oh man, it's good to be back and with my favorite people, mainly Necra, but also you, Pickle. You get as well.
Hey,
Great
I'm
to be
okay
back.
being second behind Necro. There, no problems there. That's a good second place to be in.
That's a good second place. But yeah, I'm great to be back this week, especially for this storied rivalry between these two teams. They have such like a history between each other and then their own teams, and they're really evenly matched and have been even in the past. You could see in the last season's coaches poll, it wasn't uncommon to see them that close to each other in the rankings. So I'm super excited to get into this match today. And as for the meta, I don't know if anyone got to catch some of the tournament action that's happened recently, but the meta for Overwatch, it's kind of all over the place. It's so diverse. So we have kind of two main compositions that a lot of teams are going to be playing. Of course, Collegiate, it's pretty experimental too. It could be going away from what a lot of teams are running. But the two main compositions are called Double Bubble or a Brawl composition. So the Double Bubble, to simplify, it's either Winston or Ball. That's the one receiving the bubble from Zarya usually. And then you would pair that with other fast DPS that can follow up with that, either double flankers like Sombra Tracer, it really depends on the preference of the team. Then you got your Brawl side of things where, well, it's kind of in the name, Brawl. You want to get up close and personal, you want to take the gloves off, you want to go hand in hand. It's Ryan, usually with Zarya, but we've seen a lot of teams also maybe go towards the D.Va just to have a little bit more versatility to get to those high ground positions. And then you'd pair that with a McCree and also a May. So once you are the up close and personal, you can either freeze, use your utility with the flashbang, and really cause some good damage. In terms of supports, man, that's also all over the place. Lucio Baptiste, when You want to be speedy with the brawl, but Ana also becomes very important if you have a dive composition to have her nice and safe, deliver that nano boost, and try and go for some executes. But I'm so excited to see what Collegiate brings to the table because what everyone else is running could also be very different from what Collegiate comes up with.
I feel like that was so well said. I mean, I like a collegiate, like just going back to what you said before about collegiate being a little bit more experimental, right? I feel like that's one of the reasons why I have such a hard time calling who's the favorite in this particular matchup. One, you don't really know what a lot of collegiate teams are going to run. They might have just made some new additions to the roster with this upcoming season and semester. And two, collegiate is very experimental, and they might not be running the exact same compositions as what we might have seen from the invitational that you were talking about, where we did see the double bubble and the brawl compositions really come to the fold.
I
Plus,
don't.
the state of the meta right now, a little iffy.
Ooh, yeah.
I just think double bubbles one of my favorite words going forward, and I'm going to see how I can incorporate it in my daily life. But I agree. I love the points you brought up about the collegiate aspects being experimental, and that's why it's so important for eFuse. Like we're amplifying that kind of concept. Like people get to see it, you know, right in front of their eyes as we might see new metas being formed or things we didn't see. But there's one thing I know that's set in foundation is that these teams don't like each other, and I'll be honest in saying it was a very fun week to get a chance to sit down with everyone. They were very candid. We said that this is 30-minute drive. I mean, it's there and back in under an hour, and you could drop a pin in the middle of Texas, and those two are very, very close. So, with that being said, we sat down with UNT's own Joseph Fergan, and we got to talk about this matchup, and you guys just watch. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the eFuse Pipeline Preview. I'm your host, OG Pickle. Hello, good to see you for another week. And before we get back to the action between the University of North Texas and the University of Texas at Dallas in this week's eFuse Overwatch Showmatch series, I wanted to speak with Joseph Fergan. He goes by Joe online. He's a senior and captain at the University of North Texas. Who are you as a team? What is the University of North Texas?
I don't know. I think I like to see ourselves as like very adaptable, right? So I mean, I've been on the team for 4 years now, and through different metas, different heroes been good, different people on the team. We've kind of all adapted to that and been getting better and better each year, each semester. So I think just our team being able to be super adaptable and just overcome, any sorts of challenges that come up is kind of what makes UNT great.
Transitioning to tonight's show match, speaking of adaptability, UNT versus UTD, your teams are separated by less than an hour's drive. How would you describe this matchup? Is the rivalry as close as the distances between your colleges?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring it up again. I've been part of this program for 4 years, and they have been my personal, and I think the school's biggest rivalry all 4 years.
UTD placed 1 point above your team to take the 9th place spot in the preseason eFuse poll. Do you think it's accurate? You say they're beatable. You think they're still beatable? What can we expect tonight?
That's going to be changing after tonight, yeah.
I love hearing it. You have them in a best-of-3 matchup for this exhibition. Call your shot. What do you think the outcome's going to be?
I'm thinking 2-0 UNT. Easy.
Coming out swinging. I like the confidence. Speaking of, as team captain, how do you begin to prepare your team for this matchup? You just said they had the edge in the preseason poll. You think you have the edge now. Is there anything you can do prior as the captain to improve your chances of success?
So I think it's just all about keeping the nerves down a little bit.
Well, whether it's flexibility of staying limber or the flexibility of adapting as a team to the 4 years he's been there. That's Joe. He goes by Joe in game, so you're going to see a lot of him. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. Go Mean Green.
Well, I told you so. I mean, they're calling their shots early. They're calling just an absolute wipe 2-0. So that's an awesome, awesome preface and why I enjoy the pregame show so much. So it was so cool to hear what the players have been playing Collegiate Overwatch for the past 4 years and how invested they are in this rivalry and their own team. These players have really been there from the start of Collegiate Overwatch, and their stories are just super interesting to hear about.
Yeah, that was really good insight from Joe, and be able to share that throughout the 4 years, UTD has always and consistently been their rival all the time. Like, I love that bad blood. I've always said Overwatch needs just a little bit more spice when it comes to that kind of talk. And if you guys like that spice, make sure you go to Collegiate, man, because it's just full of it. And glad to hear some of the confidence coming out of the UNT captain, as you said, calling the 2-0 dunk like that. Like, okay, in UNT's favor. And now that we know, though, how UNT feels about the match, let's take a look at an interview with UTD's player Cadman Penny.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the eFuse Pipeline Preview Show. I'm your host, OG Pickle. Hello, good to see you again. Before we get to the action between the University of North Texas and the University of Texas at Dallas in this week's eFuse Overwatch show match, I wanted to speak with Cadman Penny, who goes by Kinetic online, a sophomore who plays main support at UTD. Kind of a unique question here. Do you see any connections with the skill set that you've obtained learning electrical engineering that may be transferable to some of the skills that you apply in Overwatch or maybe even esports as a whole?
There are no like fundamental concepts that apply directly. Like you can't take like Ohm's law and apply it to a video game in that sense. When it comes to playing esports, there are a lot of like really advanced concepts that you don't see when you like watch the game unless you are directly looking for them, which is part of the charm of esports, how many layers there are beneath what you just see on the screen in front of you. Grandmaster is like the bottom tier of like being good. It's
I like it.
Is like that's like the bare bones if you're going to talk about it in terms of the ranked experience, but like there's so much more that goes into it.
UNT versus UTD, your teams are separated by less than an hour's drive. Do you feel some of this historical rivalry, the rivalry and proximity in the battle for Texas kind of taking over?
Definitely, I can definitely say there is rivalry dating back to before I was at the school. Leading into my first year, we went to a LAN event. We had a very passionate drive to beat UNT. We stomped them into the ground. We absolutely obliterate them. They go home crying, their moms. Oh, some of their moms were there, but they went home crying to those moms. Yeah.
You have a best of 3 matchup in this exhibition. I know you're coming in confident. Call your shot. What do you think the outcome's going to be?
I think this is an easy 2-0. I mean, if you just look at UNT's roster, they don't even have a main tank player. They have an off tank on main tank, and then they have a main tank player on DPS. What are they doing?
Bro, I love this so much. You guys are going back and forth. I've talked to both players. This is going to be an exciting matchup. I know you guys are going to come in red hot. I know they're going to come in red hot. Cadman, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. I'm looking forward. You guys can see him out there on the field as Kinetic. Check him out as we tune into the eFuse show match. I mean, these interviews are the spiciest. They're a 10 out of 10 on the heat scale because they both threw a little shade at each other. We prefaced it. I told you in the pre-work. I said, look, these guys are not fans of each other. They're not inviting to any parties anytime soon, and that was adamant. And you can see it in both these player interviews. So I love it when both sides are predicting a 2-0 in their favor. They're coming in confident. It really sets the stage for a heated match. And Cadman seemed a lot less reserved in what he had to say about his opponents compared to Joe.
Yeah, I mean, he actually makes like direct note of UNT's roster and some of the issues that they might have with it in terms of maybe not having a main tank player and then having a tank on DPS. And I feel like we got some really good insight into how UTD actually views UNT's weaknesses. But I would argue that in some cases, that weakness might be considered a strength. See a lot of players in collegiate that like to fill in scrims and flex onto different roles, and that gives them a really great insight onto how to best help and support the other members of the team. So even though you might have a tank player playing DPS, there's a lot there that might say, well, now I know how to best help, or where I need to position behind my tank or how to stick to my tank in order to really make sure that they can shine together. But from what both of these players told us, they hate each other. And this rivalry extends way, way back, even before some of the time that some of these current players on the rosters actually have experienced. So there's some like bad blood there, but I'm all here for it.
I think it makes for great content. Yeah, some of the things obviously get cut out of the discussions. We have to do shortened videos that can not be like a 50-minute segment leading up to the pregame show. But yeah, they let it fly, and we were very courteous in what we kept in. But yeah, there's no love lost in that, and it does date back. I mean, they were referencing tournaments before any of these guys on the roster were even on the team. So you can tell that this is engraved in their school programs. They take a lot of pride in facing each other. They take a lot of pride in beating each other. And I would dare say it's one of the top rivalries in kind of hidden gems in terms of esports, specifically in Overwatch. But the rivalry discussion doesn't end there. We're gonna hear from the coaches too. We're going to bring them both in as the coaches of UNT and UTD's program. UNT director Dylan Ray is going to stop by, and UTD coach Adler is going to stop by. They're going to discuss the matchup tonight, maybe give some insight into a little bit of a rivalry we saw and what their players were saying, and at least the long history between each other. But now that we've discussed both teams had to say, let's take a look at the rosters for both UNT and UTD. Lemon Kiwi, I'm going to toss it over to you. What really stands out about these rosters to you?
I think what really surprised me is just seeing how young UNT's roster is. And Joseph is apparently the only senior, and every other member is either a freshman or a sophomore. So, let's talk about the mental game. Being young, that's a lot of pressure. Can they deal with that? And with a roster this young that is performing this well, I think that's one of the best aspects for UNT is their potential moving forward. A lot of Overwatch League coaches are also seeking more and more young talent. So for them to be this successful this early, I'm super excited to see how their future is gonna what it's gonna look like in Overwatch. I also found it interesting that UNT only submitted 6 players, meaning, someone has bad internet, someone's not having a good Overwatch day. We all have some of those. There's just no substitutions. This is what you're getting.
That's really good points about this particular roster. And similarly, UTD's roster doesn't contain a senior player at the moment. You've got lots of freshmen, lots of sophomores, couple juniors into the mix. So lots of young blood on this roster as well that can grow together. And I think that's what excites me the most about seeing such young rosters for both of these schools is that they get a chance to play together and grow together over years of collegiate. I also really want to highlight that the fact that UTD submitted 9 players for their roster. So a little bit of a difference there between UNT's roster, making me think that we might see a couple more substitutions tonight, but I guess we'll have to see. I mean, if the starting 6 are performing really well, you might not want a chance to switch them out because you want to just secure the dub or that 2-0 right away.
That's crazy. 9. I mean, the chemistry you'd have to just, mid game to identify what could go better for your team. That's kind of wild. I'm interested to see how that one plays out. But we have 2 young rosters with tons of potential. I'm excited. I can't wait to see how these teams evolve. But for now, we'll be seeing where they're at now. We're throwing it to a quick short break. But when we come back, we'll be joined by UNT's Dylan Ray and UTD's Greg Adler simultaneously for an interview because we shake it up here. We want to have them both there at the same time. There's no individual interviews here. We're getting them both together. We'll be right back after this. We welcome Dylan Ray from UNT and Greg Adler from UTD. How you guys doing tonight? What's up?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Thanks for being here. Obviously, you guys have a pretty long-standing rivalry. We sat through multiple interviews from some of your players, and it was they were nothing short of coming clean about this rivalry and how they felt about each other at certain times. I mean, it was all professional and whatnot, but it was good. I like it. I kind of like the fire for an eFuse show match. What are your thoughts heading into this game? We'll start with Dylan. What do you think is your win condition for tonight? Let us know. What does your team have to do to win?
at the end of the day, they just gotta get there and play as a team and remain focused and not let the pressure of the history get to them. I think what it really comes down to. I think probably for both sides, the teams get very energized and very charged in this matchup, and they got to keep their heads down if for some reason things don't go their way at the beginning of the match.
I like that. And I'll take that same kind of question, stem off to you, Coach Adler. What about you? What do you think is your win condition tonight? How do you keep your players calm and focused? I mean, obviously this is an elevated stage. I mean, it's only an exhibition, but like, what are your thought process going into this match?
Sure. I think we talk a lot about fundamentals. At the end of the day, when it comes to those stressful situations, those high leverage matches, it all comes down. What have you learned? What do we know how to do? How do we do what we know how to do? And I think that's the most important thing. We focus on what we know, focus on how we do in practice. And it's just another practice. It's another time to go out there, kind of show what we're doing. And I think keeping that cool, calm mentality and focusing on those fundamentals and basics that we know, I think will really help us a lot.
So, focusing on the basics definitely seems like an important aspect for both of your teams. But we want to talk a little bit more about what collegiate makes collegiate really, really special. So, Greg, let's start with you. Why is collegiate esports just so different and special than most other esports?
Sure. Well, I think there's a couple of things off of it. I think number one, that you get a lot of localized rivalries. I think a large part of the reason that us and UNT have played against each other so much is because we're within an hour away. I mean, our first ever LAN event when we were a varsity program, we literally played against them in like the semifinals, I think. And so I think that's awesome. You get a lot of localized attention. But I think the second thing off of that is you're giving a platform for these students to be successful. They may not have the strive to go pro, or they may not be at the level of pro, but they're still able to get that high level experience. They're still able to play against teams from all over the country. They're still able to represent on a national level. And I think that speaks a lot to them. In a scene where there's not really a minor league, there's amateur leagues, but you're able to get your education while still getting a chance to play at a super high competitive level on a national scale.
Dylan, what about you? Do you agree with what Greg just said about the collegiate space? Do you have anything to add to that about what makes collegiate special?
Absolutely. I think what I really love about it is the charge from not only the players but the viewers themselves that are cheering on their school team. I think collegiate esports and also high school esports bring something really special to the table where you get to have that same kind of energy like for like a football game, but now for Overwatch or League or Rocket League, and it's something that's truly special. And these players are all multifaceted. So not only are they really good at Overwatch, but they're doing really cool things like getting an engineering degree or studying to be like a police officer or something like that. So it's really cool that all of these students are students and also really talented at Overwatch.
I wanted to touch on something that Greg said. A little bit of rivalries, right, in collegiate between yourselves and other schools. But what other schools? So, other than each other, what other Overwatch teams are you looking forward to taking down this season? And any teams you're specifically looking forward to playing against?
For us specifically, I know we've played against a lot Mizzou. We've played them a couple of times now in a bunch of different series. I know we have a pretty fun rivalry with them. I think some of the top ones: Maryville, Harrisburg, Northwood. I think they're at the top right now, and getting a chance for us to go against them and kind of take them off that throne would be pretty sweet. And then obviously all the Texas schools: UT Arlington, University of Texas. Always the localized rivalries are always a lot of fun. We actually had the Battle for Texas, which was an all Overwatch event, and that was definitely some heated moments in that one. And so I think that a lot of the Texas teams for sure, but looking at national level, got some teams in our mind as well.
How about you, Dylan? Any teams you're looking forward to beating this season?
This season, yeah, I think definitely UT will be terrific to take down. But also some really solid program teams like UCI, University of Utah. Definitely some great matches to look forward to that we're always excited to see for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. We've had all those teams here in the eFuse show matches, and now we're adding both of you guys to the eFuse show match accolades, and the list goes on and on as we continue to do so. And I'm excited. But before we head into tonight's match, Director Ray, Coach Adler, any final comments you have for your opponents? Because I'm known for stirring the pot here. Anything you want to say to each other before you start?
Uh,
Well,
uh, I'll copy the student and just say it's a free 2-0. Free 2-0 UTD. No question.
Let's
Hands
go.
down. Guaranteed.
Right back at you.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Go be
Oh,
green.
let's go.
We got this.
Thank you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight, Director Ray, Coach Adler. I know I'm looking forward to this. But I've had a little insight all week. You guys are just starting to get a taste, and I hope this pregame show has helped building it up as we're coming to a close and getting ready to start for the match. All right, everyone, we'll be right back. We're hopping into the match after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon, and maybe grab some ice water because this one's heating up. All right, we are back with tonight's eFuse Collegiate Showmatch. Bye-bye pregame show. We're here for the real deal. And man, we kicked it off on a high note. That pregame show came to an end as two director and coach went back-to-back calling the 2-0 free easy win. Woo! We're just about to get underway. I'm your host, OG Pickle. Welcome back. Thank you guys for being patient on the Be Right Back. I'm here alongside Necra and Lemon Kiwi, two exceptional casters going to take it away from me. Tonight we have a mini battle of Texas. UNT and UTD, only a 30-minute drive from one another. It's close to the heart, it's close to proximity, and it's close to a heated rivalry. Both teams are consistently in the top 10 on the eFuse coaches poll, and I'm willing to bet we see some fireworks in tonight's matchup based on that pregame show. Necra, what can you tell me what's on the docket tonight?
Well, we got a coin flip on our hands, and UNT won that coin flip to kick off the match. So UNT got a chance to pick our map, which we are going to be going to Watch Point Gibraltar, our escort map, to start off this show match, which leaves UTD to decide the side that they want to start on, and they're going to be kicking it off on defense. So, Lemon Kiwi, we're going to Gibraltar. What are you kind of expecting to see here, meta-wise?
So we kind of talked a little bit about different metas that we've seen, whether the brawl, which is just run at them, forehead, kill them, hopefully, and then your double bubble, where it's a lot more dive. But on Gibraltar, so important. Point A, point B have important high grounds that the rotations are way too long to access, and that leaves the supports especially so safe. So you want to be able to use a dive to get to those high grounds. It's so important how you're able to control those positions. So I'm hoping to see Winston, Ball, Zarya maybe, Diva maybe. Just the bubble has to come out. I think Zarya becomes such an important DPS character, or like a tank that outputs like a DPS character.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see that, but you never know what you're going to get with Collegiate. But I hope that everyone's feeling good, because this battle for Texas, it's kind of like a battle for Texas, but with an even better rivalry.
We got rivalries, we got double bubbles, we got metas, we got all kinds of things. I cannot wait anymore. We're going to the caster's booth right now and getting underway. Thanks for being patient, guys. All right, my friends, take it away.
Oh
Ooh, we go into
boy,
a
oh
map one.
boy. So,
The lobby.
yeah, we get the lobby view, which is the first time we get a chance to actually see, what's kind of going on. And you can see that, as we kind of talked about before with some of the rosters, we do have a roster that has 9 players on it, and UNTs, or UTDs, excuse me. So like they might be making some substitutions tonight, but what I'm super excited about seeing here is the preview of what these teams are going to be going after. We talked about the double bubble, we talked about the dive, and really that kind of comes down to a composition that we're super familiar with in the Asia Pacific region, which is Winston Zarya. That kind of dive to come out would be really, really exciting to me.
Yeah, one player that I want to keep my eye on is Stasis on the hit scan, whether Tracer, Reaper. I've casted this guy for a while, and he flexes to literally anything. I think I've seen him with Kinetic a lot too, and Louis. So there's definitely some names I recognize here in terms of, if I remember them, they're either really good or really bad. And I definitely remember good things about them, so I'm excited to see what they can pull on the defense. And you're seeing that Winston, Zarya, the double bubble. The 2 bubbles, the Winston one and the Zarya one. But the issue with Zarya is that if you keep getting rolled, your energy gets reset to 0, and Zarya is a scaling hero, so you want to live as long as possible, get to that 100 energy, because then you output the most DPS in the game. So Tinspire has to be really smart about how he uses those cooldowns, because it's like 7 or 8 seconds per cooldown, and then after that you're sitting down, because Zarya's not very mobile.
Yeah, that's super true. Like, gotta pay attention to when your bubbles are on cooldown, because if you don't have anything to protect yourself and you've got these incredible DPS coming after your backline, then you might not be able to have any energy there. So what I am seeing here is I'm already seeing the blank spaces.
That's not supposed to happen. That's not looking too good. So we have UTD on the left in the blue, UNT on the right attacking. Now they have the Mercy that'll be to maybe increase the range of someone like Hawkins. I do like the Ash pick, because she can coach gun herself to a high ground. It's a little bit tricky, but you're seeing that Aqua's taking up the space, all the space he can on that right side, just to flush out everyone from that high ground. Somehow Kinetic got away with that res, and maybe the rest of this attacking team could have pushed into them and prevent that, but there's no another dive that's coming.
Oh boy, the other dive too, but the double bubble is there, which is one of the reasons why we call that comp what it is. And taking that Tesla cannon damage is really going to charge up that Zarya.
Yeah, UTD, oh, they're on is under attack. Staying on server side is pretty good. I would have liked to see Skolix just have way deeper into point B, but we need to probably have that line of sight on someone like Blake, who already felt that with pressure. Alias getting a lot of energy, getting even more because of that dive from Aqua. I like these small, short dives from this attacking team. Plenty super safe, because all you need is space. And maybe a distraction for someone like Aztec to just sneak into the back. Wanted to apply the pressure on the Skolix, and maybe decided to go away because there's a Valkyrie online from Kinetic, and now a nano from Skolix sacrifices his life for it. Look at the counter dive from someone like Louis, who was able to get the space to get that resurrect. Now everyone is back online for the defense. They throw the grab around that Inspire, and this is gonna hurt. It was combined with the full spawn, maybe a little bit late, but hey, that's almost half the time bank on.
Yeah, and something that I really liked about UNT's attack there was that they really did create a lot of space for this cart to move. But UTD, with that huge combination of that Graviton and that Pulse Bomb, it was just enough damage to be able to mitigate the attack pressure coming out from UNT's side of the field. So now UNT, though, they're kind of stuck between a little bit of a rock and a hard place. They're going to have to dive really, really far in order to actually get to this fight.
Oh, that's a great stint. Oh, and it got to Inspire low, or like low enough to die, but Kinetic just presses on cooldown. Where is anyone to stop this from happening? And I've got 2 Primal Rages. Okay, that's a little scary. And it's looking like this attacking team is just not going anywhere far. We only have a Mercy, and I don't even know if Gatsby can get the res. And it just feels like Kinetic has had way more freedom and way more appeal to be getting away with the Resurrects, and this attacking team is just not going to budge.
Yeah, but here's the problem. You know, Aqua was able to go into the back line and take out Skolix as they were pretty vulnerable in that position. But so that was a great dive coming out from UNT, but UTD's defense right now is just so strong that it's been very difficult for them to make it through. Gatsby is going to even switch over to the Brigida here because I guess they want to play much more together as a team.
Perhaps 41 seconds though, this is do or die, and that defense dives first. They have the nano, the Valkyrie, all the damage, all the resources Louis needs, and he assassinates Gatsby, leaving only 1 support for the team of UNT. This is very scary. At least Joe will be able to come back, hopefully pull the trigger on this nano, because that's really all they hope to work with, at least for their dive, unless you can throw Hawkins Bob in just as a distraction, as something, but
12 seconds left, and that's not much time for UNT to really make it through, and they're still gonna grab!
Oh, well, at least the Nano's giving the Aqua, he has to go buck wild, but his supports are also getting pounded, so really, you gotta make some choices, and choice has to be the card. We are in overtime. Hawkins, how'd you guys bomb, man? Well, what's going on? You need to throw that sucker on card real quick, but it looks like the attack is slowly starting to win this. Kinetic, how many resurrects has this guy got? Always Skolix, and Skolix is back. More resources for the defense. Space will because of that duplicate of his second Primal Rage. Now the defense are able to fight their way back. If they can survive this grab from Alias, and it looks like this might just be enough for the attack to squeak through to point A, but this was so ugly in that grab. I mean, the whole timing to get to point A, and that's not even the hardest part of the map.
No, the hardest part of the map is still yet to come. Even Spaceship can be considered a very difficult point to get through if you don't have the right tools and resources, especially when that high ground in a composition like this is going to be so influential to being able to make it through. You can already see that Aqua is going to be able to try to take over some of that, especially when the UTD defense is trickling back in slowly. But take a look at some of that maneuverability now. Alias joining Aqua up on the high ground.
Yeah, I love that the attack is really focusing on that high ground. UNT, they need to flush them out though. It looks like they did a good job of that. Maybe seeing if anyone's hiding here in this pack room. Looks like a few tanks and really just tickle damage. Just something to set up Hawkins or Asterix to finish off these kills. And now you're seeing that attack of UNT really come online and kind of figure out these cohesion issues. Boom, but that on of Snolex was exposed. Good bubble from Tinspire might save them for the moment. But as they rotate to that back left, Aqua, all he has to do is jump and he consumed. Minute and a half left, couple meters to go, and the defense are kind of getting snowballed.
Yeah, especially because the card's already made it to its objective. And at this point in time, wait a minute, did Stasis just bring it back?
Oh, what? The double pulse too, and on a break, you should be able to drop that. I wonder who that even stuck, but minute left, and the defense have warded them away. I really thought that was going to be Captain. I can't believe my eyes.
Yeah, I can't either. I mean, that was just Stasis coming in clutch with that double pulse bomb and really saving the day, especially when it looked like UTD didn't have a cohesive defense for most of point B. But now UNT, they're kind of stuck in the same position that they were on point A, which is they only have sub-minute time bank here, and they've got a far way to go. Aspect's gonna have to make a lot of work done with this pulse bomb.
He almost got that one clip though, like, okay. Oh, he's dueling a Tracer, and Blank is disrespecting the 1v1. Aqua, meanwhile, got a Nano, so he's diving that top left. Usually where all the supports are sitting, maybe trying to act like Scopes. He knows he has the Nano, cannot let that go online, but Kinetic is picked. There's no person to resurrect yourself or anyone, so you can't forgive that. 15 seconds, do or die again for the attack. They have the grab, but nothing really to combine with. Hopefully, Alias is enough energy, but actually was a little bit greedy, and maybe there was a disconnect because it didn't look like everyone was shooting into that graviton, especially with Gatsby down. Joe's the only healer. This is going to be a lot of pressure on these supports to keep this fight running for UNT.
Ooh, I really feel like this is where the cart is going to stop. And there it is. It comes through, even though the grab did come through from Tinspire to keep everybody away. Tinspire was really kind of an MVP for me in those last couple of team fights. High energy, high charge, doing lots of big damage, and then getting that graviton surge online at just the right moment in order to keep UNT away. But something that UT Dallas really did well in those team fights was dive. They saw the targets that they needed to. They played a defensive dive really well, and just kind of waited for UNT to be out of resources before going in and taking them out. So this is still anyone's game, even though it looked a little one-sided where UNT only was able to make it so far. This is where I feel like things might get flipped around.
UTD looks so cohesive there, and I want to give credit to someone like Kinetic. He's been a support it's been a big support difference in that point A for sure. Kinetic got a lot more resurrect stuff, and as much as I want to give him credit for how smart his decisions were of when to go for those and when to not, it was also, you got to give credit to the tanks of Louis, mainly Louis, because he's the one kind of doing all the space creating that allowed their supports to communicate. I'm going to go for that res back at full 6. And we're constantly forgiving these first picks. This just took so much time away from UNT because they had to kill 7 people instead of just 6.
Yeah, I mean, that is really tough, especially when you let Kinetic kind of get away with all of those resurrects. But you're right about Louis being one of the key players to really allow some of those to happen. Right out the gate. Skolix. Huge sleep.
That too. Blank is always killing people when the door's open. Like, this guy runs with blood, and it's pulling off. You see that attack from UTD trying to get everyone off that high ground, but not dropping fast enough. Blank kind of floating a little bit, so that's picked by the energy of Alias, which he must have got charged up from that initial dive from Louis, because that seemed like a really quick kill. Either way, it looks like the defense of UNT are just chilling.
I gotta kind of relax a little bit here, waiting for some of their cooldowns to come back, and also just playing that defensive dive so that UTD uses all their resources when they move in.
Yeah, the space is well traded though. Louis, I think you got boot on the high ground, maybe a flail, but both supports are down for the defense. This is not good. This could mean UTD can make a speed run out of point A. And if you're Louis, if you're Tinspire, you press the W key. You do not let them have room to breathe. And that is exactly what they're doing. They're about to cap point A. No recontest chance from UNT. And this is miles faster than what UNT has.
Yeah, it is. Look at that, over a 5-minute time bank when UNT struggled to get through the door in overtime for point A. So that's a lot of time for UTD to work with. And that golden box of victory for that maybe swift 2-0 that we were expecting from one of these teams is not too far away to kick off this series between UTD and UNT.
Yeah, just minor mistakes, and these supports of UNT just needed to play further back from point A. They should not be that accessible, especially on the low ground. To be so deep, and there's a nano primal, a beautiful combo, and that's not where that McCree wants to be. And now he's going into more close spaces. Throw the pulse bomb at him. Everything with the kitchen sink. UTD are crushing it right now. UNT maybe have a chance to recontest. I think they should just all leave and hopefully gather everyone at that top left area. You see Blank has spotted a straggler, and that's just gonna hurt UNT's chances even more of holding point here. And the box of victory is right there. They have to take this 5v6.
Yeah, this is not going to look pretty for UNT right now. They have a couple of resources like the Nano that's going to help with longevity, but UTD, they're going after those dives.
Oh, they have 4 embedded from Alias. Blank, he copied them. There's 2 grabs. Nobody can move. Aqua's still left hook, right hook, punching everyone away. And if you're a UNT fan, you're just sighing a breath of relief, because they had just not won a fight until now, and they still gotta kind of work hard for another 4 minutes.
Yeah, that time bank is still pretty large for UTD to be able to make it to that second objective. And for UNT now, all they can really rely on after using so many resources just to stabilize is going to be Hawkins' Deadeye. So right now you can see that the team is really playing around Hawkins just to try to keep them safe and make sure that that Deadeye is going to be able to go off without a hitch. But this is where I think the double bubble becomes really powerful. You got Winston to have the bubble to just kind of protect the team, and then you also have 2 Zarya bubbles as well, just in case.
And good cryo from the attack to just get on top of this ship, but UNT, they keep going in these small buildings, man. They're so lucky Louis doesn't have Primal. I mean, he's about to. He's just farming. I don't think I've seen Louis die in a long time. So Blank, he's also, the aggro character is so deadly to just execute. As soon as you have someone low, Blank is just there to finish him off. You saw how deadly he was at the first time when the doors open, and UNT are barely holding on, and with Aqua removed, that will be UTD bringing in that box of victory and going to series point.
Series point already, and this was kind of what we were expecting, given that both of these teams claimed that they were going to get the free 2-0. In this case, it looks like UTD might be, one step closer to that ultimate goal, but UNT, I think that there are some things that are promising when I take a look at this squad, particularly versus this UTD team.
Yeah, to inspire with that play of the game, I mean, there's no surprise. He was able to have so much energy just because Louis does. To have someone like Louis on your team, to inspire must be praying. And I mean, OG Pickle, what do you think of that first map? UTD, is it going to be that easy 2-0?
I mean, they certainly looked a lot faster on their approach. They were speeding up in areas where UNT actually struggled. I obviously saw in the very beginning. They were building up an insane time bank throughout the entire time. So, I mean, it was clear going into that after they had kind of progressed a lot faster that the 1-0 was definitely happening. I'm not sure if we're going to see 1-1 or 2-0, but we are on series point. Lemon, what was the main difference between the two teams? Why did UTD look so efficient, we'll call it?
Just felt like everyone was on the same page. Like when Louis would dive in, Kinetic knew instantly that was the time to go for the res, and just not having that hesitation means you're forcing these weird decisions out of UNT. Do we look at Louis? Do we stop the res? It caused so much confusion. UTD not having that hesitation allowed them to just execute those dives well. And really, they didn't lose a fight. They were rolling, and UNT's supports were just a little bit too exposed. Like the fight that they got, that they lost at point A to get rolled on, is because both their supports died first, and that should not be happening.
Yeah, I mean, I want to toss it over to Necra to hear her thoughts. So far from the players, from the things that you've seen in match number 1, who's your player of the match? Who's been taking over and being the biggest difference maker in these games?
I mean, I gotta think I gotta hand it over to Tinspire. Like the front line for UTD right now is just so strong that it's a hard toss up for me between Louis and Tinspire. But like the two of them working together is just so beautiful to watch because that's kind of what you hope for when you are running like a dive centric composition like that with the Winston and the Zarya. You really are hoping that your tank line is going to create a lot of space to enable the rest of the team. So I think that's something that both Louis and Tinspire are doing a phenomenal job of. And it's another reason why UTD is just coming out on top right now.
My player has to be blank, to be honest. Like every time the door is open, this guy was just like, bah, just like instantly killing somebody, whether it's a double or a single. I also think he had really smart duplicates. He copied a Zarya to counter Grav when he knew the other team had Grav. That was super good to just nullify that whole interaction. He would also copy Winston's and they would double Primal Rage. Like they're just on it. Like, and I think Blank is a fabulous Echo. And he looks good on the kill feed, but Echo is only good if her team sets them up for success because he can only execute, doesn't really set things up. But Blank, I think, was always at the right place at the right time. Very smart duplicates as well.
You've seen one match. We obviously have at least one more happening now. Necro, what are your thoughts? You've kind of seen both teams go head to head. You've seen UTD look a little bit more efficient. Do you think UNT comes back and kind of makes some fixes or repairs some of the issues or challenges they had in match number one? What are your thoughts going into number two? I'm not asking you to make a call, but I'm kind of asking you to make a call. What's your thought?
Obviously, I hope we see more Overwatch. So, I'm kind of hoping that UNT goes toe to toe with UTD and is able to take a map win on the board. But if I'm gonna be honest, I think this is UTD's series. I just think that they have a lot more synergy. They clearly have this composition and their meta calls down. I think Lemon Kiwi put it best. They are all on the same page. And when it came to some of the ways that I felt like we were seeing UNT operate, it just felt like things were just a little off. Not that they can't get better, but is it going to happen over the course of this specific series versus UTD? That's where I have a couple question marks.
Exactly. Like I think they're so close to doing what UTD are doing though. Like I think Aspect's Tracer was really solid. He had a couple moments where he almost one clip an Ana. And you know
Yeah.
how different that fight would have been if he would have got that extra 20 damage in. And that's just a difference of a couple bullets. It's just the micro is just about there. And Hawkins also had a moment where he died at the last fight when having Bob when he was on Ash. And I just think cleaning up just a few things, and I think UNT are on it.
Likewise, I posed the same question to chat. We have eyes on that too. I wanted to hear from you all. Who do you think's got the next match? Series 2. We're excited. We'll read it. We'll come back after this break and kind of take a small collection of what we think out there in the world of Twitch on the official eFuse Twitch channel. Thanks for watching so far. We're going to toss it over to an ad break as our teams are kind of getting ready, getting set for match number 2. I certainly hope there's more Overwatch, like you said, Necra. But regardless, could be series point right after this. Welcome back to the eFuse Collegiate Showmatch. I'm your host, OG Pickle. We're here with Lemon Kiwi, Ekra. We're getting set up for match number 2. Thanks for your patience. And we're heading over. We're getting ready to start. The lobbies are filled. Let's go. Let's hit it.
I like the voice of God that was coming. Now, did you hear that?
I just want to be involved.
Oh, I love it so much. Oh man, yeah, I definitely heard that. And what a great intro for us to get back into the show match between UTD and UNT. We have switch sides now. So UNT is going to be in blue and UTD is going to be attacking on King's Row. And that honestly tells me that we might see a little bit of a longer map if UTD kind of keeps up the pressure that they had been putting on for that first map.
Yeah. I think we might have seen some substitutions too. And I hate playing the, where's Waldo? Which one of these doesn't belong? Like, I don't know. I just know that Stasis left. I was hyping him up, and he's already been subbed out. So let's see what UNT can do on the attack. They're going for that brawl style. Remember, guys? You guys did your notes. In the beginning, brawl, the Ryan, Zarya, the main, McCree playing on the contact of that main. Blank. It's not his wall. That's the blue wall. That's what I'm talking. Very similar compositions. Just Zarya and Diva being different, and Lori just gets to swing away. When you can depend on someone like Arrow, man, things are just gonna go right for you. A couple more swings, half of the defense gone, and that'll be the payload easy just like that.
Wow, yeah, that's exactly kind of what I was talking about, though. UTD keeping up the pressure and then getting us to a point where they're already unlocking the payload. And here's where things get just a little bit tricky for UNT. You know, now that UTD is going to unlock the payload, they have this opportunity to get a little aggressive, but rightfully so, they are sticking back because UNT did get the close spawns in blue. They're going to be coming back to try to defend this payload very, very quickly.
Let's take a look at the result charge. I mean, Louis, main take difference right now. 80%. Two more swings actually, and he'll have shatter. And I want to know how big Aqua's brain is. Does he know this is coming? And I mean, do you know when everything is coming? Look, there's like 3 ultimates, 4 ultimates that the attack has. Starts with the window, the shatter is blocked, being brained by Aqua. Maybe Hawkins was caught. He goes to the ice block, and the grab is thrown as plan B by Tinspire. Half of the team of the defense drops, and just controlling this choke point, very important for UTD. And they have the Blizzard just in case, but you don't want to blow all your ultimates in this fight. They only did what? The window, the grab, and the shot is a little bit expensive, but getting through this choke is well worth it.
Yeah, it really is, because this buys the cart so much time to be able to make it to the second objective. So UTD and Red right now, they are going to be able to make their way much closer to the third and final checkpoint. And they got to be a little bit careful. They have the Blizzard, which Gatsby obviously has the ability to mitigate with the sound barrier coming online for UNT. But now that's kind of where the mind games come back into play. Can UTD force out that sound barrier maybe, or just make sure that they can get this Blizzard online?
Yeah, the Deadeye from Aspect, just a bit of a scare tactic. Oh, but do they know this rotation's coming? They heard something, and look, the attack goes to that left side. Arrow finds it in, pick onto the support. Alias eats the Blizzard. That was a big winning condition for UTD. Now the sound barrier engage. This is plan B. They just keep running at these tanks without Aqua. There's nothing protecting UNT. Good fight though. They only lost to one. Kind of trying to fight back, and I think Hawkins might be left out to dry. Maybe thought he could just maybe throw a Blizzard, but next to someone like Arrow who gets a 3K, that'll be UTD sailing on by into point B.
Hey, you're talking about Blank being kind of the MVP for UTD in that last map, but now it's Arrow that's really lighting up the kill feed. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Arrow, all the space that Louis and Tinspire are creating are just really letting Arrow shine with all this long range and mid range damage.
Oh my god! The pin into the self-destruct! Oh my god, Aqua! He just made Alias look so good just now, but then there was 3 kills the other way, so it's actually 3v3. As much as I want to yell my pants off, we gotta see what are UTD gonna do with this. Looks like they're just gonna chill a little bit, wait for respawns, and now they go.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the advantage that you have when your respawns are just a little bit closer. You could just overpressure, just like what they're doing right now.
Aspect almost could have stopped that shatter. Again, it's just these milliseconds. Aspect is just so unlucky today. It's not even like a bad player thing. It's just a flashbang like a millisecond before, and he could have stopped that shatter from Louis, which maybe would have turned the fight around. 'Cause I think 3 from UNT got laid out by that. Oh, you got a Deadeye combined with the Amp Matrix from Scullix. It's a little bit scary. 4 minutes though for UTD. Oh, this is a big shatter from Aqua. They got to play off of this. They got to play aggressive. They got to go, and they're just stuck with their backs against the wall, and UNT are getting punished. And now they're sitting in the middle of a blizzard. Louis just gets a double fire strike. Aqua's trying to hold his own with a Lucio, I guess, but with 3 just stacked on the card, it's kind of winnable for the defense. They have the respawn advantage. Gatsby is forced to use this to save himself, and maybe, just maybe, can UNT hold on.
Ooh, the wall's gonna be able to block off some of the members of UTD, which is going to help this spin to win tactic coming out from UNT in the blue, but they're all so low, and Deadeye here can just finish everybody off.
Oh my god, Arrow. Owl when? Okay, I just want to know. Like, can I pretend I've known you since, you know, your OG days? Because you just had an incredible McCree performance. Oh my god. On the kill feed all the time. You know, we don't get to see his first person POV, so we really don't know how much resources, how much he's been enabled. But I'm still gonna give him credit. Arrow, you did amazing. Shoutouts to you.
Shoutouts to honestly the entire UTD team right now, because not only were they able to complete all 3 objectives of King's Row, but they also did it with a lot of time to spare, Lemon. 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And now that means that UNT, in order to have a chance at tying up the series and bringing us into a map number 3, they've got to complete with time left. And I don't know if UTD is going to let them do that, especially after the showing that they had on Gibraltar. I think this might just be the end of the series right here.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 15 is such like an above average time for most teams, like kind of a speed run. We saw some moments where they looked like the fight could have gone the way of UNT, and then they were able kind of to reset and then come back, like do a soft reset and come back, but and then even some points where Alias had that 3K bomb, there was 3 kills that went the other way for UTD, and that was the closest chance they had to winning a fight. But yeah, UTD are just having such a good day of Overwatch.
Yeah, I think you know, the other thing that I really like about the fact we went from Gibraltar to King's Row is that both of these teams get a chance to show us their flexibility on multiple different compositions. You talked about the double bubble on Gibraltar. Now we get a chance to see the brawl, and I think UTD is just kind of outperforming in the meta compositions right now. I'm hoping to see a little bit of a comeback here from UNT, but as of right now, it's going to be a little bit of a jockeying for position.
It's so hard for Aqua to play against a Mei when he doesn't have a Mei of his own, so Immortality, well used there from Joe around the corner, kind of gets instantly dismantled, but the Amp Matrix being up this early is such a huge advantage for this attack of UNT. Already a first pick. They got to deal with Arrow, though. And actually, they all went to a hotel, and they're coming up from behind them, 2 ticks, but I don't think this is a one-fight. UNT are just going to get run over. Kind of a lucky pin by Aqua. He doesn't even get that kill, and he's 1 HP. I think once they go and find him, that'll be also a stagger. So first fight, 2 ticks, not that bad.
Not that bad, but you know, I gotta call out something that you had just mentioned, which is that Joe on UNT got that Amp Matrix up so fast. But you know, that also goes back to the fact that UTD is just doing that much more damage. That we did see the outpace of Joe. Even still, look at this, already 70% to another one.
Oh, a grab from the defense. That's big to inspire with the shatter onto the... Oh, there was like 2 or 3 caught in that. Joe saves himself and maybe a few others with the Immortality. It was kind of too little too late. Immortality, more like only for like 3 seconds. But wow, that's UTD crushing another fight. 2 minutes and 20 left.
2 minutes and 20 to still get something done. 2 ticks on the table for UNT as they continue through their attacking attempts. And now they have a couple more resources. They can do the amplification matrix plus the Deadeye here as a little bit of an ultimate combination. And if Aspect can get this Death Blossom online a little bit faster, then they might also have Earthshatter Death Blossom as yet another combination. We just don't want to see UNT blow everything here.
Well, Alias just ate another blizzard. Oh my god, Hawkins! I'm not testing my vocal cords, but you kind of pop it up. He's like, Arrow goes to Overwatch League and I don't. And then he just gets a 5K. So I'm sorry, I will redirect you, Hawkins. You did well. You popped off, and now UNT get the card.
Oh, the bait and switch from the Maywall, though, really enabled that play. Hawkins, holy cow, just really saw an opportunity and went for it. Plus, you had the increased damage from the amplification matrix, and UNT is really thirsty for some of these kills and trying to make up for some lost time here as they do unlock the payload and just try to get a little aggressive. And take a look at Aspect here, just kind of like waiting in the wings, just kind of waiting for someone to come by and you know, just take off their head.
Oh, I was hoping Alias was going to do the bomb with the pin from Aqua. You know, get another 3K. This place is so narrow that could have been easy. But throw it at the back and more to damage the shield. But Louis, as the shield came down, shatters Aqua, who was still trying to back away with the rest of the team. And Tinspar is probably like 100 energy, so he's just lasering the competition. No big deal. But this also means UNT's stuck at this choke point, and that's going to be really rough. That's going to cost them some time to get through.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the hardest defensible positions to break through if you are an attacking team that gets stuck at this particular part of the map. Just because you got one way to go. And maybe you could go through the above too, but basically UTD is always going to know where you're coming from. It's going to be really hard to break through this.
Oh, surprise! Hawkins coming from the sky just like a bird. It's a plane. Oh, all right, now you got to do the dead eye. Maybe they were waiting for the wall. Or they're just all shooting into the window. Okay. Hawkins, maybe the last one to leave. I love seeing Deadeyes off those windows, but they try and jump behind UTD. It's the Aqua versus Louis battle with the Death Blossom. Just as a distraction, still gets 2 kills, and Alias eats another Blizzard. Blank, what's going on, man? Why do you keep... I know it's very hard, but you've donated now 3 Blizzards to Alias, okay?
That's what we call Hungry Diva. It's a different kind of game mode, but really fun to play, especially if you are the diva in this situation, and not one I think that, not particularly a situation Blank wants to be in. But this is a good defensive hold still coming out from UTD. Sub 2 minutes now. UNT is still kind of stuck in the same position that they were before, and still just trying to go through the upper I don't want to say echelon here. That's not quite what that is. The upper window. Oh boy.
Oh, this is... Oh, Aqua, what are you doing, man? Oh my god, this guy just W-keyed by himself, tried the shadow, got blown up. But I mean, to be fair, it was like do or die, because there was an amp matrix right in his face where he's like, I'm gonna W-key past it and try and go for the hero play. It was a huge risk, it did not pay off, and that's UTD still holding UNT at the choke.
What I really want to see happen here is UNT just walk up, press the W key, and slam into UTD. I think that's going to be their best chance in order to make it through. But they keep taking these like interesting pathings to try to maybe sneak up onto UTD, but UTD isn't having it right now.
Well, I like the rotations with UNT to try and just kind of reverse roles here, go pressuring the attack of the defense. It's all kind of swapped around. Now they're going to use a window. Aqua's trying to pin somebody, so the self-destruct pops off, and while everyone was safe inside the building, and a counterattack with the Graviton and the Salamander from Kinetic combined with the Arrow Deadeye doesn't kill anything. 3 ultimates from UTD. UNT are still standing, and this is how I wanted UNT to play in the first place. I'd rather you get punished for being over-aggressive than be punished for being passive, because with Brawl, you have to run at them exactly how you said, and they finally did it, and look what happened, they won.
That's exactly what we wanted to see from UNT, but now, ooh, we saw a little bit of a switch up there. Alias potentially thinking about going over to the Sigma, but I think the Diva has just been so oppressive to UTD right now, and especially with that defense matrix as high utility in this composition. Look at how many Blizzards got eaten up. You know, and that's something that's on the table right now. They definitely don't want to get caught with their pants down against Blank's Blizzard.
And what's on the table? UTD on series point. If they can win this fight, it's overtime. UNT, this is all you got left. Aqua shield's already down, and the perfect time for a shatter from Louis, the Blizzard from Blank, and just utter destruction. All 6 members of UNT frozen and obliterated off the map. UTD taking this map and the series 2-0.
Well, one of these teams claimed that they were going to get the free 2-0. And it looks like in this case, it's going to be University of Texas Dallas that's going to be taking the win in this show match. The Battle of Texas 2.0 and a 2-0 for UT Dallas.
I was wondering where Hawkins was. I thought he was on the high ground behind them or something fancy.
no.
Nope, he just held it long enough to blow up the shield and everybody behind it. So, man, I really like that Arrow versus Hawkins duel, and I'm so excited to have OG Pickle back. So there was a 2-0, but it was for UTD. What do you think?
I think after the first performance, I wanted more Overwatch, but I think the play was speaking for itself. I mean, they looked organized, they looked efficient. UTD did everything they needed to kind of take it ahead and win this fight. I'd like to hear from you guys. Like, what was your perspective? What was the game changer in match number 2 that obviously sealed the victory for UTD?
Oof. Necro, I think you and I kind of said it that UTD, they just didn't hesitate. They just W keyed. And that's just what we wanted from UNT. UTD just ran. And I think there was a big Baytank difference. I'm not going to lie. I think Louis just really outperformed Aqua, had some really good shatters. And you saw that Aqua and Alias were trying to set up these shatter self destructs. And it only worked once out of the 3 times they tried. So I was a big fan of how Louis and Tinspire were working together. And I think Aqua and Alias can still click. It just might take more time.
I think it comes back to what we said before, though, right? About maybe one of the potential weaknesses on UNT's roster. They don't have a main tank. And in fact, they have a tank player playing DPS. And sometimes, while that could be a strength for some teams, that could also play against them. And I think UTD smartly recognized that there could be very well a main tank difference. And one of the ways to really exploit that is to press the W key and play really strongly with your front line, and that's something we saw UTD do to the fullest.
Well, speaking of UTD, we have a special guest near Louis who's coming over to speak with us. I want you two to have an awesome conversation with him. I'm sure you have a boatload of questions to ask. Louis, first of all, congratulations. Your team had a dominant 2-0 victory. I'd say you called it. Both teams actually called it, but you guys called it and answered on it. First of all, congrats. How does it feel to take the eFuse show match tonight?
Thank you, thank you. I'm very happy about it because a few months back we faced UNT and they're a big rival of ours, and we actually lost against them a few months ago. And I remember tweeting after the match, I was like, I'm looking forward to a rematch. I wanted the rematch, and we got it, and we took the win. I'm very happy.
Well, I have to say, my first question is, how would you rate your own personal performance? So, besides, you're not really playing against a tank player, but let's just judge based on how you did today. I think you had some great plays on the Winston. You played really well off of Tinspire. But what were your favorite moments about yourself, or what are you happy with about yourself?
I think keeping the tempo was the best thing that we did today with my team. Um, Everyone was just really aggressive, and we all knew um, that Aqua was more of an off tank player rather than a main tank player, so we can abuse that fact. And I think our there was a bit of a May diff that's kind of toxic, but I think that we were able to take that aggressive stance against them, and it worked out really well in our favor.
Yeah, you both Lemmy Kiwi and I, we were during our cast praising your DPS lineup, and we kind of had a little bit of a tough call there. Was it, who was kind of pulling the weight a little bit more for your DPS lineup? Can you give us some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think all our DPS did really well. We pulled in Stasis for our first map to play Tracer because he's a Tracer god, and then we pulled in Arrow for McCree on the second map. And honestly, I have to really highlight our DPS player Blank. I think he did really excellent on Mid today, especially, and Echo as well. I think he was able to really enable, especially me on Reinhardt. If you have like a really strong May player and you're playing Ryan, and they have a weak May player, then it's just that Ryan's just gonna get bullied, like
Mhm.
no question. And I think I was able to do that with because Blank enabled me so much.
I I think Blake was definitely good on the Echo. I wish he got more blizzards off than he donated to Alias, but I know you guys will bully him in the scrimmer, the VOD review room another time. But someone I already said Blake was amazing today. I also thought that you guys got away with so many resurrects from Kinetic on Gibraltar. Why was it that your support line was just more successful than UNT's? Was this more of a like the tank line really performing well, or is this that you think there was also a support difference?
For our supports, I think that they definitely had the space to do and get away with a lot of risky stuff like that because they weren't really pressured, in my opinion. Um, we were able to just walk up and get free rotates as I jumped into their team, and they didn't really get any pressure. It felt like so they were able to get away with like silly things like that.
I think that one of the most exciting things about getting a chance to see both of these squads perform is that they're pretty young, right? You all have mostly freshmen and sophomores on both of your teams. And what do you think that means for the longevity of the team moving forward? Are you excited about that? You guys get to play together a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's definitely very beneficial for us because then we get more experience as a team together. Nobody's going to be graduating anytime soon, and we could just grow as a team and get better as a team throughout, hopefully, throughout the next few years. Is I don't know how long the Collegiate Overwatch 1 is going to last. Overwatch 2 is going to be coming out soon, so we'll see what's going to happen, and I'm very excited for the future.
I was really excited for just your team play, just off of map one on Gibraltar. I just had a question if this was kind of pre-planned or not. You had Blank obviously on the Echo, but then you guys also doubled Primal Rage. Was this just how do you control the chaos there? Is this like something that was pre-planned or just something that you're like, okay, Blank wants to show me up, I guess?
I actually do remember that moment. I definitely didn't need a primal. I only really did it because I wanted to boop Joe off the map. I thought it'd be funny, so I did it. To be completely honest.
Well, we
Cool.
certainly loved watching it, man. It was a great performance, and well done to you and your team. I hope you have a short celebration. It is a Tuesday night, so we can't get too rowdy, but we appreciate you showing up for the eFuse show match. Congrats on your win, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And on that note, a very special thank you to Greg Adler and the entire University of Texas Dallas esports program, as well as a big thank you to Dylan Ray and the entire University of North Texas esports program as well. This was an incredible match. I loved the pre-show. Necra, Lemon Kiwi, you both killed it. It was so much fun to listen to. I'm looking forward to seeing these teams in the future as more Texas rivalries unfold, as the eFuse show matches try to amplify those, and as Overwatch competitions grow in that aspect as well. Necra, any final thoughts before we head out of here?
I mean, you said that we killed it, but the players killed it, right? Like this was
And
some
kill each
really
other.
high
Facts.
level
Big
Overwatch,
facts.
and like I can't. It's just so exciting when you have these teams that show up in such a big way and put on a really great match for us. So thank you to the teams, and next week we're going back to Rocket League, so that should be really fun too.
I'm excited for Rocket League, League of Legends, especially more Overwatch. I might be a little bit biased. I hope we get more kind of rivalries on stream because the Battle of Texas, I just want to see more of it. Because the gloves come off, apparently the masks come off, and everything is exposed in the map. So I'm excited to see if these teams will rematch one day because I want to see the score get settled.
Well, a special thank you to eFuse GG for putting this on. Thank you to everyone in the chat. I saw everyone out there just going nuts. Everyone was hyped to see this matchup. They were cheering for both teams. They were going at it in chat. This was one of the it was a very fun show match to say the least. And thank you, special thanks again to Lemon Key and Necra for being here carrying the cast for us. It was no easy task to do, but it was great. You guys delivered, and it was wonderful. Thank you guys. Appreciate you being here. I'm OG Pickle. Necra, Lemon Kiwi. We'll see you next time on the next eFuse show match.